10, 9, ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Welcome, all you Southeast Gassers Association fans. It is SEGA Live. Lee Craft here, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer. Down there, the voice of the Southeast Gassers Association for the Tower of Power, wherever we may be racing, Mr. David Lancaster. And over there, he's co-hosting with me routinely on the Competition Plus Power Hour. He also is the host of the Not Bland Show, Mr. Dugenet Bland. And was on staff with SEGA this past race weekend, opening up the season at South Georgia Motorsports Park. Gentlemen, good to have you both here for SEGA Live.
Good to be here.
Excited, yeah. Great job.
All right. So we're in the season. The 2025 season has begun. We're well on our way. First time ever to South Georgia Motorsports Park. Very briefly, before we get on our guests, who are, by the way, not Greg and Leslie, but rather Robert Fraizer and Todd Wimberly, we want to talk about some positives, tease what we'll be talking about later on of South Georgia Motorsports Park. I was impressed by that facility. David, you have been to plenty of them in your time as the announcer of the Southeast Gassers Association. Your thoughts on SGMP real briefly.
Wonderful racing facility, plenty of room for everybody to spread out and be comfortable. The track surface was just exquisite. I did not see the track be a problem in either lane for any of the drivers, and a great time by all and a pretty darn good turnout.
Absolutely. I think it was a good turnout. A bigger venue, obviously, for SEGA, and very interesting to see it to go into that type of venue. Dugenet, that's right in your backyard. It's home track for you in essence, and I'm sure you've seen it multiple times, but you got to see it with SEGA there. What were your thoughts on SGMP and, well, briefly overall, Southeast Gassers Association drag racing?
It's great. A really good vibe. To see families come out and support from the people here locally was great. And I really love the vibe of SEGA and what they put on. It's really inviting for the families, and the racing and the action was fantastic. And being in the stands, working the cameras in the stands, the fans also thought that as well.
Right. I love what you have been able to say on your shows and Competition Plus Power Hour, and definitely looking forward to having a deeper conversation with you. You were running the swinging camera at some points during the day, and you're right up there in the stands, and you are interacting with the fans, and you can give us that fly on the wall perspective of what they were saying. So looking forward to having that chat with you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Spring Nationals was brought to you by Harbin's Mechanical, and they are kind enough to bring SEGA Live to you with this third installment of it on, well, the SEGA platforms. That's the YouTube channel and the Facebook page, as well as the Competition Plus Facebook page and the Monday Morning Racer Facebook page. Wherever you're watching from, dive into the comment section, let us know, hit the like button, hit the share button, and we want to say thanks to Harbin's Mechanical Services. This word from them, then we'll get our HGAS winner on, Mr. Robert Fraizer. Harbin's Mechanical serves Atlanta, Georgia, and its metro area. From the big jobs downtown to the jobs in your hometown of the suburbs, they are your #1 source for your HVAC and refrigeration needs in Atlanta and its metro area. Stay cool in hot Atlanta with Harbin's Mechanical Services. And there he is, the winner NH Gas. Welcome, Mr. Fraizer, to SEGA Live.
How y'all doing?
Man, doing great. Great to talk to you, a winner. And Robert, I just want to begin with having you on. Why H gas? There are so many other appealing categories. Most people are going to look at A gas and be like, man, I want a big V8 and I want all the cubic inches I can and, you know, some bigger car and go as fast as I can. But you are in H gas and have been championing that class for a while now.
Well, I started in C gas, went to A gas, ran AFX for a while, switched back to A gas, and just something a little more laid back. Seem to be doing better at it.
Well, I'll tell you, you had a great.
The only thing I haven't run be Superstock and B gas.
Oh, okay. You know, you had a great day. I thought you threw a little monkey wrench in for everyone when the bug showed up, and no one knew exactly what he was going to run. He didn't even test. Came out, did a couple qualifying runs. I thought it was really cool. He got to the semifinals against you. Were you a little bit nervous with really not seeing much from him prior to the test day?
Well, Doug and I always pick up a 10th when we run each other. But we've run each other several times before, and it's always a good run. We're always a 10th quicker for some reason. Our lights are better. Everything is better. We get up for it. He's a good, close competitor.
The Doug you speaking of, Doug. The Doug you speaking of, Doug Loudermilk in the Beelzebub.
Yeah. Beelzebub.
And Doug has been right there alongside you the whole way, you know, kind of championing
yes, he has.
The inception of H gas. And now, you know, Robert, you guys have had a couple of years to kind of tweak on these cars and, you know, get them where you want them to be. And now you're a full championship points gathering class. And you, sir, taking the first ever championship in the first race and winning that big cup that we see there behind you. How in the world does that make you feel? How gratifying could that be?
It made us feel great. I mean, felt like you finally accomplished something by getting the class going, and we need to just step it up and keep everybody involved and get more cars involved and just promote the class and keep it going.
And you know,
we encourage anybody and everybody to come run.
And we've talked about you and your wife Rita, how y'all have worked on that Barracuda for so many years that you've championed in other classes, and to come out with the Volvo, you know, specially built for H gas this year. You know, you told me, you said the first pass out there in practice will be the first pass down a racetrack under power. And
right.
That just goes to show the preparation that you guys put in there in the shop. But it's got to be extremely gratifying to go down the track so clean the first pass out.
I was really surprised with that. We made one shock adjustment for the weekend, and that was it. I'm really pleased with it.
How long did it take you guys to construct this car? I know it took you like 26 weeks to build the Barracuda, you and Rita, but how long on the Volvo?
Well, we were both working jobs then. We started on the Volvo the very day we got home from Shady Side last year. We started the same day when we unloaded the Barracuda. We cut the Barracuda into the smallest pieces you can imagine and started putting together another car.
How did you find the Volvo and come to that be the car of your choice?
We were looking for something smaller, and we found it on Marketplace. It was a 2-for-1 deal. And we had to take 2 to get the 1. So we had a few spare parts left over. Of course, all we used was this piano. Yeah. There's not much left on it.
What is the combination in the Volvo? What's under the hood?
It's a Rambler engine, 4-liter Rambler, 6-cylinder, inline 6-cylinder. Got a Chrysler 4-speed, and that's pretty simple, clean and simple.
Yeah. Did you notice the level of intensity, being that now this is a championship class, this first race at the Spring Nationals? Did you notice the intensity level? I know you guys race hard every race, but was there a little bit, you could feel a little bit more intense with it now being points on the line?
Everybody's more focused. They pay more attention to details, the little things that not matter when it doesn't matter, but when it does matter, you need to have it taken care of.
Robert, the final round, you are up against Mr. Loudermilk, and I know I've seen that Volkswagen win many times in exhibition trim and seen you win many times. You've already staked the claim that you intend to win the championship. That's what you're out here for. So who amongst those in HGAS are going to be the top competitors trying to knock you off of the top where you stand at right now?
Right now, Doug Loudermilk.
Larry
Noel's got a nice, Larry Noel's got a really nice car. He's working the bugs out of it. He's gonna do really good. And we've got more coming. They're in the bushes. We just need to get them out.
Elaborate, Robert, can you elaborate on who might be coming that we don't know about, or some people that you've already know that's got some builds going?
Not really. It's just you guys are more up to it than I am, because we're up here. We don't hear anything usually till we get to the track. There's several being built. Chevrolet engines, Ford engines. We got a Trophy 4 Pontiac coming. There should be 2 of those when they get the cars going. And anybody that wants to can come and run. We're open to full suspension cars. You can run anything you want. You don't need a straight axle. As long as it's a 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, flathead V8, about anything you want to run. We're the most diverse class out there. If you can put it together, you can run.
And Robert, for someone who's looking to put one together or may hear about it now, what kind of what is your weight to? I mean, are you running weight to cubic inches? What?
Yes, it's 10 pounds per cubic inch.
Okay, and someone who's looking to build a car can find all the rules right there on the Southeast.
All rules are on the SEGA website.
Yeah,
and they're easy rules. They're easy to follow. Go by the rule book first before you start building. That'll save you headaches in the long run. I think the Volkswagens run on 11 pounds. And ask questions. Any of us will do anything we can to help you. We'll give you parts. We'll do anything we can. We're trying to build the class.
I had talked to Ben yesterday on my show, and I asked him about the racing surface there. We kind of know that that's a pretty darn good surface, but for you guys, when you went out there day one, and especially into day two, what did you think of the racing surface at South Georgia Motorsports Park?
I think it was plenty sticky and smooth. That's some of the tracks, not pointing fingers. Some of them are a little rough on down the track, but this is smooth as silk and plenty of tacky at the track. I mean, at the start line. Nice, long, safe track.
Yeah.
It certainly is. Fine facility at South Georgia Motorsports Park. It sounds like, from what you just said, that, well, we might be looking at possibly 10 cars or so in HGAS in the future at some point.
If everybody does what they say, there'll be 10 or more. Our goal is 8 steady, but people get on the stick, and I'm hoping by just telling everybody that I'm going to win the championship, it might make a few of them mad and come out and knock me off. I'll tell them what I got to. I'll get them to come out and try to beat me.
I like it. Hey, people love aiming for a target. So, Robert, you're stepping up and you're making yourself the target. I like it.
Well, I'm a moving target.
You certainly are moving, and you moved on down to a win.
Yeah, I'm not going to let up.
Well, Robert, as you look forward into the season in our 2025 season, what are some of the tracks that you're looking the most forward to going to and racing at?
Well, my favorites are Shady Side and Knoxville. They're the two closest for me, and I seem to do good there. I'm kind of anxious to go to Jackson. I've seen it on TV a lot. And we go to Gulfport, Mississippi. That'll be our first trip down there. And the others, we'll just take them as we get there. We look forward to all of them. These are some of the tracks that you hear about all your life. And unless you're in a group like this, you don't ever get to see them. The average people don't get to see the backbone tracks of the sport. The ones that give, hometown track, hometown people, they come out and see something that they don't ever get to see anywhere else.
Yeah, definitely unique.
Robert, speaking of home, and before we started the show, you mentioned that it was still rather cool. Where do you hail from? Where is home?
I'm in Bristol, Tennessee. Right, half the town's in Virginia and just a few miles from North Carolina.
Right. No, Bristol's situated in
the mountains.
A neat spot, beautiful town. And I imagine when you go to Knoxville, you feel like you're at, mini Bristol. That's what I think of when I first got there. Yeah. I'm like, wow, it's not that far off.
And we're almost exactly in the middle between Shady Side and Knoxville.
Yeah, it's a beautiful little town, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Been here all my life.
Well, Robert, look, my last question for you is, fans obviously get up on the chip about cars like the Joker, the Chick Magnet, the Rod Slinger, and others. But it seems like a lot of fans really like the little cars too. It is an interesting class. It is truly unique. I mean, that little Volvo, I don't know how many comments I've seen like, a Volvo, and other people, gravitating to the Volkswagens and the other interesting combinations. Stevens mentioned about Mikey Brown and the Bug-Eye Sprite that he's building and the information we've put out on. So how do fans gravitate toward you all in the H-Gas ranks?
Well, they're, like you said, they're anxious to see, they're happy to see the oddball stuff. I mean, the other classes have got pretty much combinations that everybody sees every race. H-Gas, you don't know what you're going to see. You could be a Fiat, a Volkswagen, a Volvo, a Rambler, a Studebaker, anything that doesn't have a home anywhere else. We're like the redheaded stepchildren of the bunch. You don't know what you're going to see.
Hey,
we welcome anything.
Be careful, Robert. I was a redheaded stepchild.
Hey, I know. I realize that now.
No, you're good. No, it certainly is a great class.
Yeah. My last question I'll take from Max Jet there. Yeah. What would you say that H class is the most economical?
Oh, yes. Yes. We got most of the guys run a stock transmission instead of the high dollar transmission. We got one or two that do, but everybody else, I run a stock transmission. The Rambler wagon runs a stock transmission. The Corn Pop runs a stock transmission. It's a cheap transmission. It's easy to build. The engines are a whole lot cheaper than a big race V8. They respond really nice to the modifications. They're easier on parts. The tires are cheaper. Everything is just cheaper.
think I might go H-gas racing. Makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
Well,
Absolutely.
if you want to get into racing, if you want to like the SEGA format and everything, give it a try. It don't hurt. It's easy to get into. Put something together and come on. If you don't like it, you can move on.
Robert, I want to thank you for coming on here tonight. And you and I have known each other for so many years. You've really been a champion for the Southeast Gasser Association for many years. And as you said, in many different combinations. And you are part of the heart and soul of Southeast Gassers. And we could not be where we are as an association without you and Miss Rita's involvement in that. So congratulations on your first ever H-Gas win and in the pursuit of your first ever H-Gas championship.
Well, I'm proud to hear you say that, and I thank you for saying it. We try. We're going to be there.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for coming on the show, and
we'll
keep an eye on you and the bullseye that you've got on your back now.
Oh, yeah. It's a moving target.
Thank you, Robert.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you, guys.
Robert Fraizer, ladies and gentlemen, the winner of the first ever race for H-Gas as a championship points earning category in the Southeast Gassers Association. David, H-Gas has been around for a while as an exhibition class. What do you recall about the talks on this class becoming a part of the Southeast Gassers all the way from the beginning and putting it in the portfolio, if you will?
Well, there's a gentleman who is currently building a new car. His name's Paul Combast, and he's in the I think he's in the Kentucky area, and a tremendous leathersmith. He's a leathersmith by trade, and he built a car called the Sauerkraut, the 65 VW, and he might be the only car that showed up just to continue to show our fans H-Gas and what his vision of H-Gas looked like, and along with Quayne and the other early members of the Southeast Gassers, who were in a management situation. And Paul would just come and continue to come and just champion that cause. And I'm a little bit disappointed that Paul wasn't able to make this race, because he has been that stalwart carrying the flag for H-Gas for so long. But I look forward to seeing him with his new livery when he gets it finalized. He does everything himself in a small little garage out back of his house. So hopefully we'll see Paul Combast in maybe the Sauerkraut too. I don't know what he's going to name it, but hopefully that will come up early here in 2025 and add another car to that. But then, you've got others that have come in there, and the talk of H-Gas was put in there for, and, another realm, so to say, of the V6 or the straight six or the 4-cylinder, or still it'd be interesting to see a flathead come in there with the endurance problems that you may encounter there. But one thing I've learned is these guys out here that race in the Southeast Gassers, if you tell them they can't do it, they're going to take that as a personal challenge.
Chris Fisher makes a statement that way cheaper than a Ford FE motor. So, look, I'm a fan of Competition Eliminator when we look at the NHRA side of things, and you've got all these wacky combinations, and it is so cool what is happening in H-Gas. I mean, we've got the truck, like the Econoline van with a bed truck. No, it's a Dodge, actually, right?
Kevin Dwyer. Yeah, Kevin Dwyer.
You mean
the cherry bomb
there, and there is a wagon, and there's the Volkswagen, there's this Volvo. I mean, a Volvo? How is that even over here? It's cool. It is so cool, and
it really is.
You can certainly get a big history lesson out there of what is in Americana, and there we go, Dodge A100. Thank you, Stephen Smith. I mean, man, so cool. I passed him going back up the road and just seeing that, like, that is a race vehicle that must be on an open trailer. He can never put that in a box.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care where he goes. If that remains on an open trailer, that is just the coolest thing.
It is. It is very unique. It's something you don't see. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. It's so unique, and yeah, you got to show that thing off.
Well, and Kevin's been a long-time supporter and vital member of Southeast Gassers. Started out helping with the Southeast Gassers by providing trophies. So many of the trophies that you see, even today, all the way back to the beginning of the Southeast Gassers, came from Kevin Dwyer there in Peachtree City, Georgia. And he's been working on that truck for many years in anticipation of the H-Gas category. So it was great to have him there.
It was, and I'll be looking for a photo. I know we had some great photographers out there, and I will be searching for a photo. Didn't know we were going to bring him up, but it is another cool piece out of so many cool cars that are out there in SEGA. And I get it, you know, the V8s of like A-Gas and as quick and as fast as they are, it's cool. But I don't think H-Gas is lacking in any coolness, if I may put it that way, in a completely different way. It is they're funky, but they're fun. So when Mikey gets his Bug Eye Sprite done, and I mean it's going to be a very, very diverse class, already is, and they're going for a championship. So big things for H-Gas this year. David, we have one other guest in Todd Wimberly on. And he is also a first, though he's no stranger to Southeast Gassers Association drag racing. They, in AFX, have been added as a championship class, and he gets the distinction by earning the victory as the first to win in AFX as a championship category. I think people have been waiting for this for a while now, not just the racers in this class, but fans. The fandom out there in drag racing, I feel that, well, they just like these early funny cars. They're just cool.
Yeah,
They are. And the first thing we got to tell our fans and people watching is they don't meet the criteria of a gasser. They do not. And they're not built to meet the criteria of a gasser. As you said, it is a methanol, mechanically fuel-injected, methanol-breathing motor. And the wheelbase is altered a little bit. But it, again, brings forth the workmanship, the ingenuity that a lot of these guys put together when they build these cars, specific for the combination of motor and tire that they're going to put underneath it.
yeah.
I'm glad SEGA has these cars where they're at, because, you know, in what SEGA is representing with AFX right now is a very narrow window in funny car history. It was not that long of a period of what they're doing with the style of cars that there are that, boom, you're beyond and you've got full flip top type of situations, and you're really fast tracking to the modern funny cars. So it is very cool that within SEGA we have this representation of a very narrow window, the inception of funny cars competing. And it's great too that we have people associated with SEGA in AFX that have direct links to those early funny cars.
And if I may, I got a little history lesson not long ago about the reason that a fuel altered coupe is sometimes called in NHRA drag racing is also referred to as a funny car, is because the AFX category, the cars looked funny. Most of them didn't have a hood on them. They had the mechanical stack sticking out of the top. You know, their altered wheelbases made them look funny. And that was the reason that the flip-top funny car, because they did, like you mentioned, it was the predecessor to the flip-top funny car. That's why it was called a funny car when it got there instead of a fuel coupe.
Absolutely, yes. And they, it goes back. It's just I mean, they do. They kind of look funny, especially compared to a normal wheelbase car, and that they do look funny. And you know, they took the drag racing fans by storm because of how they looked, their stance, and different combinations, and then the pioneers doing some different things with these cars than what you saw in the normal categories. You know, for a while, sanctioning bodies were like, what are we going to do with these things? So it got worked out, and we love funny cars now, and we love AFX also within the Southeast Gassers Association. I found one. This
There
from
it
an
is.
Image and Time Photography. Look at it. That thing is that's just so cool.
It is. It really is.
Kevin Dwyer, the Cherry Bounce, 1960. I think it's a D100 Dodge.
And that's just spectacular.
Yeah.
That is so cool. And in H gas, it's awesome. Yeah, I don't think we're going to see that in B gas and C gas and no, but we can see it in H gas, and that is completely rad. I mean, that is such a cool hot rod. And we've got a cool driver of another cool hot rod that we're going to take a break to and get on. That is the winner in AFX from South Georgia Motorsports Park, the Spring Nationals presented by Harbin's Mechanical. For a long time, Summit has been a partner with the Southeast Gassers Association, and it was nice to be able to stop in at Summit just south of Atlanta, get some parts and pieces and pit wares, if you will, before getting there to South Georgia Motorsports Park. Very simply, whatever you're building, build with Summit. Summit Racing Equipment. From the store, the catalog, or online, you can get your street rod, hot rod, personal ride, and even race car, including a Southeast Gassers Association ride, ready for action. Build with Summit Racing Equipment. All right, and now Mr. Wimberly on with us here, SEGA Live, the winner in AFX. Todd, welcome to the show.
Man, thank you all for having me. Appreciate it.
So I'm going to ask the question of, how did you come up with the concept for that particular car? Where did it become born?
So it started, surprisingly, it started as a street car. So my dad and his buddies, they all like Fords and FEs. And so sitting around the campfire, deer hunting, we were talking about, you know, the old Thunderbolts and the old drag cars. And we came up with this idea to build a street car with an FE in it, you know, something like an early model drag car. And we did. And it was just a street car, show car. And we played with that for a little while, got tired of it. And I caught wind of SEGA, but I knew it was a gasser group. But I also started seeing videos of Rocky Platt and Alan Platt racing with SEGA. But I couldn't figure out what they were doing because I knew they weren't gassers. I knew they were AFX cars. So I contacted both of them and I said, hey, I've got an altered wheelbase Falcon that I'd like to race. I'm tired of messing with it as a show car. And they said, well, yeah, let's take a look at it. We talked to Quayne and they said, yeah, you got to make a few changes to it. But if you're willing to do that, you can come race with us. And so that's kind of how it evolved, or how we came up with it, and then ended up with SEGA racing it.
Well, Todd, we see the trophies there behind you. I'm going to ask you the same question. I mean, how does it feel after many years of campaigning the car and showing up at races without it being a championship class? How does it feel now that you are the first winner?
Well, first off, I want to thank the Lord for the blessings. Obviously, we're blessed to be able to do this, right? We got a couple of cars, we go racing. That's great, you know. And but thanks to SEGA for giving us a spot to do that. But yeah, to win the first one is incredible. And we'll get into that on what we did to get there. But, and just like Robert said, when y'all asked him, hey, what's it feel like to be a class? We felt that, that intensity ramp up a little bit at that race. And all of a sudden you really want to win it. You know, you think, oh, we're going to go in and do like we normally do. But all of a sudden when it became a class and you think, man, we can win the first one, when the day started and qualifying started, that really starts working on you. You think, man, can we be the first one? Because you don't want to count your chickens before they hatch. But the thought of being able to be that first winner, the whole Wimberly racing team said, let's step up and see if we can actually do this.
The final round, all Ford final. And I admit I had not got to interact much with Alan Platt before this weekend, but wow, he's a really live wire for sure.
Yep.
And he's passionate about
absolutely. He's fired up.
This class and
Yes.
kind of living out a legacy and keeping a legacy going along with, Rocky. But, Alan was all excited about going in a final, potentially going to get a win. It was an all Ford final. So going up against Alan and a car like that's got so many connections to history and what it represents, your thoughts on racing in that kind of final on the stage that South Georgia Motorsports Park is?
Well, that was huge. And the funny thing about that, early on, just being able to line up against Alan and the Georgia Shaker or Rocky and the Dixie Twister, that was enough. I thought, man, we're lining up against these guys, and these guys are sons of legends. But now we want to beat them. And so now racing them is great. Now we want to outrun them, and we're fortunate enough to have a decent package to be able to do that. But yeah, I tell you, I was as nervous as I've ever been when I realized I was going to roll in the final against one of them. We were in the semifinal against Sammy's car with Robbie, and I knew that if we got past that, we were going to face one of them in the final, and I've never been that nervous.
Could you tell the intensity level ratchet up? Now it's a class racing for points, and first race of the season. Everybody's chomping at the bit to be the first one. Could you tell that intensity level had ramped up for the class, being that the points were on the line?
Yes, I saw it. And the funny thing is, and we're all friends, so we look at time slips. Everybody got faster every round. From Friday to every round Saturday, everybody was working on their cars. Everybody was trying to get faster, and everybody was thinking the same thing. We want to win that first race, and we were so close. All the times were right there together. So everybody knew that we've got a shot. And so we even made a pretty big change to our car before the semifinals, which normally we wouldn't have done, but we made a big change in the off season thinking it would be better. We didn't like it, and we changed it back at the track, which was a little bit of a gamble because we didn't have scales to put it on. But that's how important that first win was. We would have rather lost it and not made that big change. Normally we wouldn't have done that, but we said, look, we want to win this thing. Let's change it back, because the big change we made in the offseason didn't go exactly like we wanted it to. We changed it, which was a gamble, but it paid off. We picked up even more because we knew whoever we faced in that final, all our times were so close, it could have come down to a whole shot, and we didn't want to be that tight. So we threw something at it, and it worked.
Todd, we're seeing other classes in our gas classes become so tight competitively. We're seeing a lot more people put emphasis on the chassis, the handling. My question to you is, it's kind of ironic that Lamar Walden Automotive or Lamar Walden Race Engines provides power for almost every car besides the Georgia Shaker out there. So with all that being said, how much have you guys done? You just talked about that change, put you over the top. How much testing do you guys do on your chassis?
A lot, because it's down to, like you said, anybody, horsepower is one thing, but if you're not getting it, at the 60-foot time, if you're not getting it there, you're struggling. And we're on a smaller tire than the gassers, the gasser classes are, and we're running a big block, which is a little bit more torque, so it's a little bit more common, different combinations. So we make a lot of changes on the AFX car that we don't make on the C-Gas car because of that. So chassis is going to be everything, and the altered wheelbase changes things a little bit too on your weight distribution front to back. So, and that was one of the things we did on the off season. We made a big change to the chassis that we thought would help it, and it didn't. We didn't like it on Friday. We didn't really like it on the first round of qualifying Saturday. And so that's why we changed it back. We like to say we can make, some adjustments on race day, but to make a big change is a little bit of a gamble. But we did this time. But we're going to leave it like it is, so maybe we can just adjust it next time.
Well, you talked about your tire, and we have always talked about the Superstock spec tire that our Superstock competitors have to run. For our fans, is it the same in AFX, or can you run whatever tire you choose that's best for your car?
No, we're running a 9-inch tire, and that's the max width you can run in AFX. So a little bit smaller than your A, B, and C gas cars.
Yeah, what you all are doing with these AFX cars reminds me, honestly, of like NHRA Heritage Series rules with Top Fuel. They have a combination that has a ton of power, but they run right there with the funny cars, even though they're lighter and longer wheelbase because they're running on a itty-bitty 9-inch tire. And they got to manage all that power on that itty-bitty 9-inch tire. So it's very interesting how that all plays out. And, I think one contact patch, you certainly is a reason why A-Gas is still quicker and faster. And, you established the record now that we're going to hold to with AFX being now a championship class. And it's, a 597 with a 4. And that's pretty good for something of that stance and weight and size and sending it down the drag strip.
Yeah, we feel pretty good about it. I mean, we've actually gone faster before we were a class. My brother drove the car last year at Shadyside, and we went a 94. But you're right. The tire is going to be the limiting factor in this class, because with a big block, the big block Chevys, the FE we run, the power's there. But it's getting it down to the track that's going to be the issue on this tire for sure.
I noticed being on the starting line from Friday to Saturday. Saturday, it was a totally different track, very sticky racetrack. It seemed like on Friday, the track was a little bit loose. Seemed like some are having a hard time getting that tire to hook. When you made the change, was there a little bit of concern that it may, you may be getting into territory that could be questionable and may not work because of the differing conditions that we had from Friday to Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good question. Friday, when we unloaded, we were terrible. But I don't want to blame the track, because some guys were doing okay. So it was a little strange Friday night, because some cars ran good and some didn't. But we were awful Friday. But AFX for Saturday, we were going to get 3 rounds of qualifying as opposed to 2. So we thought about that a little bit, and we said, let's just park it for Friday, because the track's going to be different tomorrow, and then go out there Saturday and decide what we're going to do. So we ran it in that first round. It was okay. It was better than Friday, and the track was better. You're right. It had gotten a little bit more bite in it. And we made a few little adjustments, and it did get faster second round, but we still didn't like it. And that's when we made the big change to it, which again was a gamble, but the change really helped it. But I'm not blaming the track, because heck, we were setting records down there. So that was just something we had to adjust to while we were there.
That's a great point. Adjusting to we've talked a lot about adjusting the car and adjusting to a racetrack. Is there anything else that you do to your race car beside, or even to the motor in your pills or whatever you use to adjust to the climate and the racetrack?
Yeah, we do. Now, unlike, like you guys have talked about, we're not the gasser class, so we're not on gas, we're on methanol. The C-gas car seems to react better to pill changes as far as a lean rich mixture. On methanol, you can dump a lot of fuel to them and they don't really get too rich. They will get too lean and you can lose power. So they don't react as quickly to a pill change, but we do change the pills based on the track, especially like if we go to, late in the year at Shady Side when it gets real cold. We'll start making pill changes there for sure.
Todd, I can remember doing a live stream of Between the Slicks from Pomona, California, with you on it talking about AFX while I'm in Doug Foley's pit there for the Winter Nationals and where you all hope AFX would get to. Well, here it is. It's there now.
Right.
We had 4 cars this past weekend. And just as we asked Robert, and he clued us in on how many could possibly be in AFX by the end of the year, my interview with you in Victory Lane that folks haven't seen yet, they will be able to in the future, you clued us in on some good information of what we can see beyond the info we've shared about Gordon Rundle.
Right. So I've got a little bit more. I talked to some guys today. So, Robert Peffley had a car that ran with us some, and he still has that car available. And he told me somebody's really interested in that car. And so that's his 66 Dodge Dart that we could see this season. And we're hoping to see that car. That's a good car. Gordon hopes to be out at the Alabama race. That's with his Colossal car. Jeffrey Ferguson is coming out with Wild and Woolly. He'll be at Alabama. We also talked to Jimmy Huff over the weekend. Jimmy's wanting to run AFX. He's thinking about converting his wagon. He's running the Falcon sedan now, but he's still got his wagon, the Falcon wagon, and he wants to run it in AFX. And y'all know Sean Bennett. Sean helps John out. He helped Matt Miller out with their cars. He's shown some interest in it as well. So, several cars. Also, former Superstock champ Mark Hackett. He's been working on a Comet AFX car. So there's a lot of cars out there, just like how Robert alluded to. There's a lot in work. So you hope that they get them together. But there's potential for a lot of cars coming.
All right, exciting news. The crowd for Alabama already sounds very exciting.
Yeah, we could have 6 cars there if those guys show up. So that'd be great,
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome to see the class grow. And I, from what I was gauging in the stands with the fans, they were definitely digging the AFX class for sure.
Nice.
All right. Well, Todd, congratulations on your win. Anything else for the folks out there in SEGA Nation from AFX that you would like to share?
Yeah, so with the win, so again, really thankful. That was a great win. And the great thing is we had all our family there. My wife, Anita, doesn't get to come to all of the races, but she was at that one. And the first win for her to be there, that was fantastic. It's a family affair. Dad owns the team. Brad, my brother, drives the C-Gas car, and we help with both cars. And we got Ray and Larry Malden, family friends. And so everybody was there. Mom was there. So for that's kind of wild for all of it. That never works out where everybody's at that race. Some can make it, some can't. Everybody was there. My friend Stephanie was there. Her son Noah. We're all there together. We get the win. I want to thank Rob Walden, LWA, G-Force Transmission. Summit Racing. I mean, it's just great for all that to come together for that first win. That first win there's only one first, right? So
Right.
that worked out. It was great.
Stephen Smith, Mr. GasserGear.com, is asking for you to speak on your behalf of your brother Ray. What you talking about?
My brother Ray?
Yeah. Other brother Ray. What's he referring to? I don't know. Stephen, clue us in, man.
I got my brother Brad, my friend Ray. I don't know about my other brother Ray.
I think he's referring to Ray, your friend, as a brother. Maybe a brother.
Must be.
I don't know.
Must be.
So yeah, that's our family friend Ray Malden. Yep. So Ray's had a little bit of some health issues, but he's back at the race. So that's probably what Stephen's talking about. He missed a few races last year, so Ray's back. So that's Ray and Larry are brothers, family friends. They help out tremendously with the car. Larry will be over here tomorrow night working on the Falcon. So the two of them have really helped us out. So good to have Ray back.
So Todd, what you're telling us is you've got a big traveling contingency coming to Shady Side Dragway on March the 5th to help this win streak continue.
Absolutely. We're going to keep it going.
I like it.
Hey, have some actual Southern Comfort for the winner's lane next time, okay?
So, real quick. So, the name of the car, that's interesting. So, Anita and I are at dinner one night, and I said, I got to come up with a name for this car, and I like these names like the Georgia Shaker and the Dixie Twister and all these other cool names. And she's like, well, how about Southern Comfort? You like that movie, don't you? And so there's a movie, Southern Comfort, with Powers Booth, if y'all have seen that. That's actually where the name comes from, but everybody thinks it's the drink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy some Southern Comfort. In the next win, instead of drinking beer out of the trophy, we're drinking Southern Comfort. How about that?
I like it. Let's do it. Let's do it right.
That's right. We're going to do it.
Very good. Todd, man, thank you for coming on. Congratulations on the win. Yes, there can only be a first, and you are the first AFX winner in championship trim in the Southeast Gassers Association. Congratulations.
Thank y'all. Thanks for having me.
All right, folks. Well, here on SEGA Live, brought to you by Harbin's Mechanical Services, we are going to take a brief break. That break, a word from Laris Motorsports Insurance. Folks, get insured, even in your motorsports endeavors, and the best place to do that is Laris. They offer highly competitive packages that can help you in all sorts of situations as a racer. And after this break, we're going to talk with Sam Gable, get a tech word, and see who got disqualified, who got qualified, and who is doing what that they shouldn't and did do that they should. All that good stuff in a moment.
Laris Motorsports Insurance offers drag racers the broadest insurance policies in the industry. Laris Motorsports Insurance was created by racers for racers. Laris insures race cars on and off the track, trailers and equipment. Laris even pays racers contingencies at the fling bracket races. Don't wait until it's too late. Call Laris Motorsports Insurance today.
Sam, welcome to the show, SEGA Live. And look, clue everyone in. Introduce yourself. Who are you and what do you do in the world of SEGA?
Hey guys, thanks for having me on. My name's Sam Gable. I'm the tech director for the Southeast Gassers. Started at the beginning of the 24 season. I've raced with SEGA for the last 5 or 6 years. I ran previously in B gas, A gas, and then last year we came out with an AFX car called Moonshot.
All right.
So this is tech department stuff is not easy, and trying to keep everything straight is not easy. This race, any difficulties? Anything that made things difficult for you as someone who's trying to keep everybody toeing the line and going in the right direction?
That was a phone call, folks. I've learned enough time. Can you hear us, Sam?
I lost you there for a second. Can you hear me?
Yep, it's good. It's good. It happens.
Okay,
It's
sorry about
live.
that.
Yep, stuff
Right.
happens.
Apologize. Repeat that last question for me, please. It broke up on me.
Being part of tech and keeping that straight is very difficult. It's not an easy task. Anything that was out of the ordinary or made your job difficult first race of the season?
Not really. We've been at this for a little while, so the guys are pretty squared away. We didn't have any major violations this weekend. Everybody tested right. It was a nice, smooth race for us, especially for the first race.
No major violations. I like that. I like the way that was put.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always the occasional little, period correct issue. Somebody's put a wrong gauge in, a shifter handle's not the right, something like that. But nothing that's a performance issue, anything that causes a major problem.
All right.
Well, Sam, we hear talk of all the new cars coming. First race, some people didn't make it because they've got some mechanical things that they're still working on. What do our racers need to do? Can they go through like a pre-tech with you? Are you accessible to, a phone call or something of that nature to try to avoid any of these situations once they get to the track?
Yeah, absolutely. Mine and John's number is the first thing you see on the rule sheet. We encourage y'all, anybody building a new car, please have some contact with us. We have a lot of different combinations in the Southeast Gassers. We have lots of motor combinations, lots of car combinations. It's virtually impossible to produce a solid, complete rules package that there's not some gray area in. So I encourage people, if you're building a car, get in contact with the tech department. Let's see some pictures. Let's nip any problems early on before they're major problems that you have to change later on with build issues and stuff like that. So we're very accessible. We're available for phone calls. I've even on occasion made a few trips out to a few shops and did some inspections, on halfway through builds and stuff, just to make sure everything's coming along and there's no major problems in the builds.
All right, spectacular. Well, Sam, we've got you on to kind of give us a rundown on the weekend from a tech perspective side. It's my understanding you've got something prepared for us. So give us the lowdown with the rundown of the tech department.
Okay, the 2025 SEGA South Georgia Motorsports Park report is as follows. We had 2 pre-race P&Gs completed on Friday, which is just a process where we allow people, if they want to go ahead and do a pre-race P&G, have their cubic inch checked, we can seal the motors, lets them get through the winner's circle real quick at the end. Helps us not to have, like this race, we had 6 cars. We had to do full inspections on post-race because, we didn't have anybody on a sealed motor this early in the season. We conducted 20 SEGA period correct compliance inspections. Of those, 11 of those inspections were awarded the stickers that proves that they were SEGA compliant. We had 9 cars, like I mentioned earlier, minor stuff, changing a few things here or there, mostly just appearance issues. We performed 6 post-race P&Gs for all class winners. Everybody passed P&G. We performed 14 fuel sample collections. All samples passed for specific gravity and tested good. Including any of the record passes. We pulled fuel on any of the records. We're done. And then we did 4 new car / new build inspections. So instantly, y'all had Robert Fraizer on. Robert's been racing with us for years, but that was a new car. So we inspected it like a brand new car, like he was a new racer, just to make sure it was in compliant.
Well, Sam, when you get to the racetrack, and I know you and John, y'all burned the pits up pretty good. How many people do you try to contact that are normal racers and you do a spot check on something? And then, of course, I know that you're getting all the new people and going through tech with them. How does a day go for you?
Well, early in the season, we're pretty busy. We have anywhere from 60 to close to 100 cars at a given race. And then, each race you may have 3 or 4 new cars that come up. So we try to get through at a bare minimum. We check all the competitors in the winning classes. We usually try to do any records, cars that complete records. We try to inspect those. And then we also hit any new builds that come in first off. And then after that, we just try to work our way through the field. The goal is by the second or third race that we've pretty much gotten everybody inspected for their period correct compliance, and then a lot of the technical compliance we do, like in the winner's circle or runner up stuff.
I tell you, I really like how it seems that there's a clear cut understanding of what is expected. You were able to articulate that so well, and I even understood what you were talking about, what you're looking for, and I think when you talk about different associations or organizations. Sometimes there's more gray area and more I say confusion than anything. But I really, from a standpoint of on the outside and thinking about the racer, it is very clear and precise of what you guys are looking for. And it has to make it not only easy for you guys because you really do have a system, but it definitely seems like it makes it easier for your racers as well.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we try to be pretty open about what we're looking for and work with the people on it. And like I tell everybody, man, all we're trying to do is create an even playing field for everybody across the board. I never want to keep anybody from running with us. That's the last ditch effort we have to go to in extreme situations. The majority of the time, it's a hey, here's what's non-compliant. Two races. Let's try to get it fixed within that time period. Something along that lines. We really try to work with these guys. I love racing. I want them out there racing. We want the cars, so it just works out good for everybody.
Well, on this episode of SEGA Live, brought to us by Harbin's Mechanical Services, we've had HGAS representatives, a representative, and an AFX representative in the winners. So give us the rundown of AFX and also HGAS and what we're looking at with those particular categories and how they are distinct from A, B, and C gas.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. They're probably the most diverse from the gasser classes that we have, to the exception of Superstock. H-gas is your inline 4-cylinder, 6 cylinders. David mentioned liking to have a flathead Ford. We actually had a flathead Ford at a couple races last year, possibly. Yeah, last year we had a flathead Ford show up. Super nice car, super good bunch. They were really trying to work on that combination. HGAS is a learning year for us. This is the first year it's the class. So from a technical standpoint, we know there's going to be a lot of adjustments. We're really monitoring performance of the different combinations. We're trying to track stuff. There's going to be adjustments made for dominant combinations and stuff. We just don't know what we don't know yet with the HGAS classes. I'm a big fan of the inline stuff, having come from land speed stuff. Inline's a big portion of the land speed stuff. So I really like those cars and I'm glad to have them out there. AFX, like we said, is they're all Sega legal cars, but that doesn't make them gassers. The fact that they don't run gasoline, they run off the methanol. We run it at 7 pounds per cubic inch. We have a much higher minimum weight in an effort to make these a predominantly big block class because that's what those cars were back then. They were match race cars for the most part. The AFX stuff was only factory backed for about 2 years. And, the big three decided that it's hard to sell a car because it doesn't look like the cars we sell on the factory. So they started supporting the super stock and the stocks and the pro stocks that came later and stuff. So, it's just a really cool class. And like you talked about, it's a very defined period because, man, you talk about a class that got out of hand in a hurry. As soon as those floppers came in, the late 67, that stuff started coming in, full tube chassis, blowers, nitro, man, those things got crazy, just like the modern day funny cars. Super cool stuff, but you're never going to have an early era AFX car anywhere near competitive to a late car from 67. It's just, those cars were just outrageous. Super cool, love the history of it, but we had to kind of define it to a certain area. A lot of people, I hear a lot of comments about, this isn't a Sega legal, or they did this back then, or they did that back then. Man, there was a lot of stuff that went back in. But like Queen said early on, it has to be a super common thing for it. So like with the coilovers and stuff that we don't allow. Yeah, there were coilover cars back then, but they were few and far between. So we chose an era to kind of have to just limit it to, and then it makes for good racing. All these cars have parity. and stuff. And that's what we really struggle into the tech department, is trying to maintain the parity across all these competitions. You get to A-gas and stuff. When's the last time you saw a 409 or an early Hemi run competitively heads up? I mean, it's phenomenal, the rules package that Quayne put together for these cars that we honestly have done very little tweaking to, with just a few exceptions.
Yeah, you're absolutely right on that narrow window with AFX. I was like, I wonder if I could build Gene's car and the funny car that Gene and my dad were campaigning back in the day. And I looked and I'm like, nope, it's already out of that window.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because if I'm not mistaken, that was like had the top cut off of it and all that stuff, correct? So yeah, it was that was just right on the fringe of the floppers, where they went to the full bodies and stuff. So
how difficult is it to keep the parity? And is it one of these things that the committee kind of gets together and evaluates what's going on, or are the racers also included in what class that may be? Are they included in the conversation to create a parity if there is some parity discrepancy?
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously the racers are a huge part of it. We talk with them regularly. They give input. Man, they're racers. They could not give input if they wanted to. You know how that goes. So we get lots of feedback from them. Ultimately, it does go to the committee. We kind of, as a tech department, we filter through a little bit of the stuff, and then we take the pertinent stuff through, and we look at it as a committee. And when me and John started this tech department, we were adamant about data collection. We want as much data as we can to back up those things, so we can look back now. At the end of the year, John provided a spreadsheet that I know the bore and stroke ratio and the combinations that won each class and which ones held the records, and all that's just really instrumental in us having a data driven process for figuring out the parity of these cars. And you have to weigh that against also just performance. You look at a team and their combination is really strong and stuff, but you also look at the effort and the time that they're putting in to develop that combination. Is that a dominant combination, or are those people just outworking the next group? I mean, so you got to take that stuff into consideration also.
Sam, thank you for your time and giving us a tech update, also fielding some more questions that we had from the panel here on SEGA Live. Last question before we let you go. Anything change, update, heading towards the Shelby Nationals at Shadyside Dragway? Not this weekend, but weekend after the one we've got ahead of us.
No, not really. No major rule changes or adjustments. Everybody's pretty much in compliant, doing good. The only thing I have to add about Shelby is, maybe tell Todd Wimberly not to pop the cork on that Southern Comfort just yet. We might have a little something for him.
Okay.
Robbie Walden in your moonshot car. That's right.
I like that. Yes. All right.
And also, I just want to clarify, my car does race in AFX, so I have no dealings with the tech side of AFX. That's all handled by John Leidick and on that side of stuff. So just in all clarity, because I run in that class, I don't have any participation in the tech side of that thing.
Well, all right. Hey, before we let you slide off, tell us about what your car is, because it is a beautiful car.
Thank you. Yes, a 64 Plymouth Belvedere. Us Plymouth guys have to hang together against those Fords, Anybody that knows my car will know that's a joke, because I have a big block Chevy in my Plymouth, which just really irritates the Plymouth guys a whole lot. So,
I mean, I can understand that, but it is a fabulous hot rod. Got some great paint on it. The color's right, stance right. It is certainly a great car. And here's a great photo from an Image in Time photography, and there it is.
Thank you. Yeah, we sure do like it, and I'm glad to have Robbie driving for me this year. With my tech commitments, I just didn't have time to run it, but I want it to be out there racing.
Well, that it is, and I certainly expect that it is going to earn very early an AFX win, and that's a highly competitive class. Certainly looking for more out of it this year. Sam, thank you for the time.
Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
All right, Sam Gable, Tech, Southeast Gases Association. Folks, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, and we're going to dive in and have the garage talk on the Spring Nationals, presented by Harbin's Mechanical Services at South Georgia Motorsports Park. Harbin's Mechanical serves Atlanta, Georgia, and its metro area. From the big jobs downtown to the jobs in your hometown of the suburbs, they are your number one source for your HVAC and refrigeration needs in Atlanta and its metro area. Stay cool in hot Atlanta with Harbin's Mechanical Services. All right, back at it. Well, we were all there, and it was a good time in South Georgia, just north of Valdosta there in Adel, Georgia, at South Georgia Motorsports Park. It was so good to be back amongst the Southeast Gassers Association gang, and I think everybody just had an air of expectation, and I think in many ways expectation was delivered. Good crowd, and we all were saying rolling into SGMP that this place that is known for records, that we very well may see records for the Southeast Gassers Association, and it did not disappoint. Just about every category had something reestablished. What a great season opener we had.
It really was. There was a wonderful racetrack, as our competitors already told us tonight, and those numbers really stood out as we move forward. Hopefully there'll be some things that even move faster. I mean, I can't imagine what it's going to be like when we get to sea level at Gulfport, Mississippi in October.
Yeah. I kind of figured that was going to be the case with the records. That track is just so good, and Raul and his team just do an excellent job with that racetrack. You could see early Friday that, ladies and gents were trying to get used to that racetrack. I mean, I was very impressed with the amount of horsepower and just the sheer bang off the line that these cars create. I did notice that if you burned out well and you created tracks and you got back in your own tracks, it seemed like you had a little success there early on during testing. If you weren't able to burn out very well and you didn't have a set of tracks to get into, you got a little squirrely coming off the starting line. But then Saturday came and it was good for everyone. I mean, I could stand in front of the cars and get a nice shot, a cool shot on Friday. Saturday, I had to be a little bit more careful, or I might not be able to get my foot off that racetrack to get out of the way of that race car. So absolutely phenomenal, job by the team, and really a phenomenal job by the racers. You can just tell how in tune and they are with their race car. And it seemed like even though some may struggle on the first one, guys and gals started getting it together as they started to be able to get more laps on that racetrack, and it showed on Saturday.
Yeah, you brought forth a great point. I mean, a stick shift car, 10,000 RPMs dumping a clutch, it makes the starting line very, very important. And Raul and his team did a great job with the traction compound, the gold dust that they had to use there to maintain the track. I didn't see the track rip any holes in the asphalt or anything the whole day. And we faced some racetracks that, frankly, has come apart in certain areas before. So those guys deserve a big thank you. And it was an incredible Saturday.
And not to mention, as a track, they got chicken and waffles for breakfast at the concession stand. Yes. I mean, that is phenomenal. Like, I don't know the last time I heard about chicken and waffles at a track. They
didn't have biscuits and gravy, cool. But they had chicken and waffles.
Hey, yeah. It's a trade-off. It's a trade-off. Yeah. If they had biscuits and gravy, then we wouldn't have been racing. Okay, everybody would have been at the concession stand and having their chicken and waffles with the gravy and the biscuits, and then like all mixing it together and doing something that's an abomination, but nonetheless good. That would have been going on. But look, to the team there, SGMP, what a great show. And David, I know, you spend obviously a lot of time in the tower. You're the announcer, and you're the only announcer, and you're calling all the action. But,
great job.
You have I thought, from what I could tell, it was a very diverse crowd. It was not like a bunch of silver heads out there. There were plenty of young people to come and see this great nostalgia action that the Southeast Gassers Association puts on.
Well, shows like SEGA Live, the live streams that we're trying to do, we're getting a better visibility here, year 9, 10. The visibility of our group and our racing association is really getting out there. And I think it's because of the simplicity. Heads up, first to the finish line wins. You don't win, I'm sorry. There's always the next race, but you can load your stuff and come back out here and enjoy the family and see who wins. But there's no buybacks, and people get tired of that. And so I think we've got a brand of racing that is hot and entering the market for every age group.
And David, I agree with you on that. What I picked out being my first time there was it just had you could feel the old school vibe. It wasn't, we're not worried about ETs. We're not worried about speeds. It's who turns on that wind light first. And, being able to work the camera for the down track and the swing camera there, being in with the fans, it was a old school feel out there. You had people throwing dollars around, betting on which lane was going to take which. The young people, I even spoke to a group that, came out, really didn't know in some classes what they were looking at, but then saw the action, saw how these cars performed, and they were thoroughly impressed. And, being here, living here in South Georgia, I knew they would show out on Saturday. They love cars here. And this is something that, you see in a lot of car clubs, what you have in a lot of these classes. These are beautiful cars. And when they perform in that manner, people are going to be excited. And I think people were thoroughly impressed with SEGA and what they put on Saturday.
I got to speak to a lot of people, just up and down, the stairs there. And I was impressed with the number of first-time attendees to one of our races.
Mm-hmm.
That to me proves the power of us getting out to the masses, because there was a lady there and she's like, well, I just came with my husband. She's like, can I get a schedule sheet, and a schedule card? And I sent her right over to Southeast Gasser Gear, Stephen Smith. So he had all that stuff for her, because they were starting to mark other events that they wanted to come to, because the other words that I heard were, everybody's so nice. And it's such a family atmosphere, and there's no belligerent people around and everything. And it made for good times for everyone and a family atmosphere that we've always tried to promote, with the patriotism of our veteran. We always have a veteran before holding the flag and, and everything during our pre-race ceremonies. And the other thing that stood out to me, there were 3 guys from ages 18 to 20 that drove down from the Atlanta, Georgia area. These guys, I would have never thought, just judging by their looks and their age, what are you doing here at a Southeast Gasser race? And they heard about it on YouTube, watched some videos. The next thing you know, they're like, where's this Happy Days parked? I like that car. And I showed them where, Ben Christopher happened to be parked. And, they came for that specific car. And then next thing you know, I said, well, end of the day, I said, well, if you have another car, he's like, man, that 17-year-old Briley Stott, he wins B-Gas. He's younger than me. I could be doing this. And I'm like, you sure can, man. So the excitement is palpable. I mean, you can feel it at our events. And we're starting to see a lot of different age groups come in.
Well, let's take the time. You mentioned some of the other competitors in final rounds and a winner in Briley Stott. Let's look at some of the wins that we weren't able to because we didn't have those guests on, with having the HGAS winner, Robert Fraizer, and the AFX winner, Todd Wimberly. Let's pick it up with the action in Superstock. Jerry Dean, wow, imagine that. He goes on and, last year did lose the last 2, even though he made the final rounds, but he starts 2025 off right in a championship defense and wins in Superstock. David, your thoughts on Jerry's day? And I'm going to have to seriously rely on you. I was able to talk to some of these competitors, but with what I do, I don't get to see much racing actually because I'm in the pits getting interviews and chatting and all of that. So definitely glad to rely on you and Dugenay for what transpired with Jerry.
Well, Jerry, he is blessed, as he will tell you, to have a wonderful crew chief in Karen Mitchell. She actually has a job working with NASA. So he's got literally a rocket scientist working on a Superstock car. And they had that car on point all weekend. Just another dominating performance by him. He's out of Lacey Spring, Alabama, and that car called the Last Rebel 2 has really been a juggernaut in Superstock for the last year. I mean, he was in every final round, as you mentioned before, reset records, and won the championship.
Yeah, I agree with you, David. When you look at his numbers all day, I mean, he was just head above heels the rest of the field. You could tell. I mean, you can tell that he has one heck of a crew chief over there because this car was on rails coming right into, first round. And they just put up numbers that just obliterated the field. They were on point. You could tell that in the final round there, he ran a 669 with a 9. With Bryant with that 696 with a 9. So you see right there, they have been working hard this off season. They came in and they swung the bats and they hit a home run.
They really did, and they continue their hot streak. And it's going to be interesting in Superstock to see what Rob Walden comes up with. Mr. 409, Lamar Walden, his father, he's got a 409 cubic inch motor in his 63 Biscayne. Fortunately, I think they dropped a valve, something in the valve train, unable to make it. But I see somebody, he's definitely got a target on his back, does Jerry Dean. And Rob Walden is going to come for that at Shadyside.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think all the cars that we had, first race of the season, when you have a good solid group of people and you have a crew chief that is just lights out in a first race of the season when other people are maybe bringing new things to the table, there's new combinations. Sometimes the others are a little bit behind, and I believe that in time, and probably will show there at Shadyside at Shelby, North Carolina, that we'll have a lot of these cars that ran here and a few more that will step it up in week 2 of the SEGA season.
Certainly hope that's the case, and might have to throw in Jimmy's idea here and tie a boat anchor to Jerry's car. And he does know how to launch that thing. I remember, yes. I think it was Knoxville last year, Knoxville 2, or maybe it might have been 1, but no, it was Knoxville. He stood that Superstock car on its bumper, and I'm like, dang. I mean, it's a Superstocker.
Impressive.
Yeah, Karen Mitchell is no stranger to horsepower. That's for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we move to C-Gas. Jaron Purdue, he picks up the win, and through the day also reestablishes the record in C-Gas. C-Gas trucking along 595 with a 0 elapsed time, and then goes on and picks up a win. Now, this car, David, is no stranger to winning, and in a brief chat with Quayne did some updates, and this thing is really turned on and is going to be a serious competitor along with Jaron driving in C-Gas.
Well, that car is already, like you said, it was already a championship car with Larry Floyd in it when it was owned by Leslie Horn. Leslie won in his own right as a C-Gas world champion in that car. Great car, great motor combination out of Gene Fulton Race Engines over there in Spartanburg, South Carolina. 278 cubic inches or 287 cubic inches, I think is the cubic inches there. So lightweight car, small motor. But when he goes to about 11.2 and dumps the clutch in it, it's music to a lot of people's ears down there. And that's Jaron Purdue is no stranger to Victory Circle. I think that makes his 4th win in just a short period of time, maybe 2 years with the Southeast Gassers.
Yeah, that car was impressive all day, and another car that just was outperforming the field by a lot. He was in the 5s pretty much all day. Got that first round mulligan, had a bye run, and then just was lighting it up round after round after that. That 5 at 95 in the second round, had that 5 at 97-2 in the third, and in the final 595-6. Just an impressive day. And he was on fire off the starting line as well. That car was just launching hard and charging to the finish line.
Well, and like you said, it doesn't hurt to have a pro modified world champion tuning on that car and tuning the chassis for him as well and getting that horsepower to the ground.
Right. Definitely. Absolutely. It certainly helps out. He's got to drive it, and he's doing a fine job. And they're turning on win lights. Certainly going to be tough, very tough in competition this year in SEGAS. But correct me if I'm wrong, David. We were without our champion in SEGAS for this race, and a very serious issue for Mr. Oden, and hear that everything is okay. And I don't know if we'll expect him for Shadyside. I haven't got an update on that, but he is on the mend.
Well, Todd Oden, as you mentioned, Todd Oden, our 24 champion in SEGAS, was unable to campaign his XX car this past weekend. He had a very serious medical condition that he had to have addressed, but it was able to be addressed in a good way. It was, from what we understand, everything went smoothly. I've talked to Todd a little bit. He's trying to gain some strength. I think that'll be the biggest hurdle that he has to overcome, is getting his strength back. But knowing Todd Oden the way I do, you will have to absolutely chain him to his motor coach to keep him out of the seat of that XX come Shadyside Dragway.
There we have it. And what little I know of Mr. Oden, I'm not shocked that is the stance, and certainly expect him back out there as soon as possible. And that hot rod is one bad SEGAS car. It certainly doesn't look like this big thing. How can he do anything in that? And then he absolutely sends it, and it is a spectacular show for sure, with him at the wheel, as well as all of those in SEGAS. In BGAS, wow, the final comes down to, maybe in BGAS right now, the 2 hottest shoes, but certainly the 2 youngest shoes in Southeast Gassers Association competition. Over there in the far lane in Double Down, you have Michael Oden, and here in the near lane, you've got Briley Stott in the Young Gun Gasser there. And he, by way of Michael red lighting, picks up the win and becomes the youngest winner in Southeast Gassers Association history at the age of 17.
Briley Stott, another cartoon by Quayne Stott, and the Stott name, as you can well tell, that is a family member right there. I think that's Quayne's cousin. So, great job. He come out there in that Rambler, and a kid still in high school, and takes his first win. He is not scared of anything. We've seen him many times lift the front end off the ground and it be pointed toward the wall, and he just grabs a gear and hopes it straightens up before he hits the wall. And he does not hit the wall. So great job right there. Fulton motor underneath the hood for him again, out of Columbus, North Carolina. I got to be honest with you. Racing, as we talked about Todd Oden and his son Michael there making it to the final in BGAS. To me, Michael showed a lot of maturity. Got to be thinking about his dad laying in that hospital bed while he's up here, or down there at South Georgia Motorsports Park racing, and getting all the way to the finals. But to me, BGAS might be the class this year that has the most competition and the most parity in that class, because I can name 4 cars right off the top of my head. And if you add Ken Rainwater, Ted McKee into those 2 that we already mentioned, that could win at any time out there. The competition is getting very tight, and it's going to only get tighter as we go through this season.
Right, absolutely. I look at some of the names. Briley got the bye into the final, but that doesn't mean he had an easy step to that bye and to the final.
No.
He defeats in round 1 John McLaughlin in the disorderly conduct car, which is the old executioner ride that Quayne was in. It's went from A gas down to B gas. I think that's a great platform and fitment for it to be in. But in the second round, Briley takes out Ken Rainwater. I mean, Ken Rainwater can never be taken lightly, no matter what car, what category he is in. And you've got Briley able to go up and get the win against Mr. Rainwater. And then Michael, his path. Yes, he had a bye in round 1, but then you see that he gets around Kevin Cannon and Ted McKee in that always formidable Rocky Top missile. So the people they went through, both of these young guys, very young guys.
Yeah.
Michael, a winner, picking up his first win back there at Gulfport, and Briley, now a winner. Spectacular. I mean, for young men, they got some ice water apparently in their veins running through to go through those people that have done so much in SEGA competition.
Absolutely. And I was thinking that too in that second round, literally going against one of the best cars that were out there that weekend against Ken Rainwater, could have easily gone up there and felt like he needed to take a shot at the tree. Didn't, held his own right there, got himself a win. And I just thought about those 2, Michael and Briley, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Briley.
Yeah. I murdered his name on my shows. I'm sorry.
It's okay, man. It's okay.
But I thought it was really cool to see them out there. Everybody, when you think about racing, you think about this style of racing. They're always looking for, where are the young guys at? You know what I mean? We got imports, we got all this other stuff that's going on, and you see those 2 young men out there carrying the torch for the next set of generation is very important. And to have the level of success they're having, Michael had I thought the best car all day, really just on the money. And for, Briley to not have the best car all day, but to come up and just execute, get the job done on the starting line, put myself in position to be able to at least give myself an opportunity to win. And look, man comes away with his first win here, young man. I was very impressed by both of them. And those 2 being able to do what they're doing is going to encourage other people young just like them to come into this family of what is Southeast Gases Association.
Well, we have to talk about them. Just part of it, ladies and gentlemen, here on SEGA Live, brought to you by Harbin's Mechanical. And you may not like it, but we have to talk about it. Because
I know where you're going with this.
He's the 2024 defending and reigning champion in AGAS. And he won at South Georgia Motorsports Park. So, whether you like it or not, Leslie Horn there in the near lane in the Chick Magnet was able to defeat Ben Christopher there in Happy Days in the far lane. And wow. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're upset that Leslie keeps winning, well, I just got to say this. He's capable of being beat. And Ben Christopher had him. And Bougenet can talk about this because he had Ben last night on his show, the Not Bland Show. But it was a 521 to a losing 518 Leslie in the Winter Circle interview shared with me that he hasn't cut a 00 light since the last time he was scared. And I guess he was scared this time because he went 006 to go turn on a win light, a whole shot win. When the man is vulnerable, you gotta get the shot in.
Gotta get him. And Ben, he admits he just wasn't on his game, and he's got to get better at that. I thought Leslie had a great strategy, and I'm sure you kind of smiled up there, David, up there calling this thing. I'm looking and I'm like, these two guys aren't going in, and I'm like, Leslie's not going in. He's like, no, you're going in. I'll sit here until you do. It was just a great. I love staging duels. It was a great strategy all day for Leslie, and these two guys are going to be going at it a lot this year. Ben's on the cusp. And he's going to get it done, man. But yeah, he admits he could have been a lot better. You hate to throw away that 518 with the 6 like that. But man, the champ is doing champ-like things.
You guys are killing me. Y'all are throwing elapsed times and miles per hour out there, and I've been handcuffed for the last 9 years and can't say those from the tower.
I'm going to get chastised.
Take the cuffs off, guys. I didn't know that, but you're exactly right. But Ben Christopher, in his own right, is a multiple-time winner in A-Gas. I mean, I think he's won 5 times in his career in A-Gas. But yes, Leslie Horn cutting a 006 light. I mean, I think he might even tell you he never thought that would come up. But I will tell you this. I have called every race that Leslie Horn has won. He's won 20 times, counting South Georgia Motorsports Park. You don't do that by just being mediocre,
right?
Or having mediocre equipment or mediocre crew. You may get tired of hearing him, but I'll be honest with you. The reason you hate him is because you ain't him.
If you be the man,
you hate on the man, it's because you ain't him. That's it. You want a shot at the world champ? You can take it. That's what Ric Flair always said. And he has a hard time holding them alligators down.
That's right.
Love it.
That's right. I mean, it was right there. And Ben, I interviewed him right before the final. He's like, he's like 4 times. 4 times. Runner up to Leslie. And he is, and now he's just like, just no more. I mean, if there's anybody with a mission at Shady Side for the Shelby Nationals on April 3rd, right? No, 5th. Excuse me. Yes, I'm thinking of May 3rd for the holiday raceway event. April 5th. It is Ben Christopher in A-Gas. I don't think. Look, there's a lot of reasons for people to win.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I think that man's got the most reason out of everybody to get a win in SEGA competition.
Indeed.
Well, make no bones about it. The funny thing is, guys, is for the fans out there who don't know this, they both live in the same town. They're the best of friends. They'll probably eat lunch together tomorrow, if the truth be known. But it's like I always say, from the water box to the turnout box, they trying to cut somebody's throat. As soon as it's over, they're looking over to make sure their partner, and it goes for every class, got there safely, But Ben wants to beat Leslie when Leslie's at his best, and vice versa. So, and you can put that on. You're not pulling for him, Leslie Horn. You can say what you want. You're not pulling for him, or you're not winning. So.
Now, Brandt here brings up a good point. Leslie did not win without issues. They had issues over the
Yes,
weekend,
they
testing,
did.
transmission issue, and they put in the backup. It wasn't repaired. They go with another one, and they did not go without issues. They certainly earned this win.
They did.
Had a
South
line
Georgia
lock
Motorsports
problem.
Park.
Had a line lock problem on their braking system. So that's very difficult. But yeah. And like I said, that's when it goes to the whole team, the crew, Brian Harris, Carburetor Bob, everybody who pitches in. And I mean, if Ben was called on to help, he would have helped him. That's the way we are in the Southeast Gassers, and that's what our fans need to know. But you're right; they overcome some obstacles, but having the good performance there under the hood of that Gene Fulton motor makes a lot of difference.
And you think about that with the issues. We're talking about this is race day. And you're trying to qualify. You're trying to make sure your car is good on Friday so that you can be comfortable and know that it's going to go out and do its job. You got to have a sense of poise, to be able to overcome those things and not allow these issues to affect who you need to be on the starting line. And, this just shows championship pedigree and why he's able, and he's the reigning, defending, undisputed champ.
There, you said it. I couldn't have said it better myself. You're exactly right.
Well, the reason Leslie does what he does on the line is because Quayne Stott schooled him back at Killcare. I mean, just throw that out there.
Woo! God, that's a singer right there, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm sure Quayne will give you an extra hot dog next time at Shady.
Right. Yeah. If y'all have not seen what happened at Killcare, the semifinals last year after the rain and the track got back in shape. Yeah. If y'all haven't seen that, go watch that.
Yeah, that was definitely a school job right there.
It was
with a small block in that car.
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be wrapping up the show here very soon. We've talked about the winners. We've had 2 winners, and we've talked tech. David, look, again, you see all the action from your seat in the Tower of Power over a race weekend, calling the shots. So, top moment of action that you might be able to clue us in on. Same for you in a moment, Dugenais. And again, I really can't say much because I'm out there in the pits trying to get interviews and put things together for the live stream or even a edited delay type of rollout of content. I will say I did get to catch a little bit of the Greg Leslie standoff. That was another good one. And what was going to transpire with that. Leslie certainly had his strategy and had made up his mind that he wasn't going in first. But David, from the weekend on race day, what moment stands out that we might not be talking about because it's not a winning moment per se, but it is an exciting one?
That's a tough one. We had a lot of good things to talk about. To narrow it down to just one is very difficult, and one run or something of that nature. I think under the psychological stress that he was under, being 21 years old, that Michael Oden did a wonderful job for the weekend, going out, setting the number 1 qualifying spot for B Gas and getting all the way down to the finals. Unfortunately, turning on the red light in the finals against Briley Stott. But I think that might have been the one thing for me over the weekend. You see right there, Kelvin Cannon gave him a great run right there in the loose cannon. But that car had that one-way technology horsepower underneath the hood. And Michael really drove his rear end off that weekend. And his mind had to be thinking about his dad laying in the hospital.
For me, it is the Beelzebub to come in, not have any test runs on Friday. You come out, it's race day. There's some really good cars in this thing, and you're going to have to be on your A game Saturday morning to make sure you qualify well and that you can make runs, and you end up in the final. that's pretty darn impressive. Doug Ludermilk with that.
Loudermilk, yeah.
Loudermilk, thank you.
Loudermilk.
We're able to get to that final after coming in and just hitting the track on Saturday on race day is absolutely impressive. Didn't get the win, but man, you got yourself off to a great start for the season by being a runner-up in the first race of the year.
Great story I got to throw in about that. Doug Loudermilk actually won that car. He bought a ticket. It was raffled off, and he won that car.
I love that car.
It's a great story, and he has really done well in that car.
He absolutely has, and Leslie wants us to talk about him more, and we'll oblige. But he says, you talking about me having back all the way to the pits from the finish line, as Ray Ballou put in earlier. So apparently Leslie had an issue, transmission car, after the win and had to do the stroker ace thing, apparently, and back all the way
analogy.
back up all the way from the turnoff back to his pit. So just Leslie had a tough weekend. That's all. He just had a tough weekend. Barely got the win, scraping by, just like he was on the show earlier, and he's like, all these people, I don't, my hunk of junk's not going to be ready, and it just don't have what's necessary. And man, my goodness, how many violins you got in the cases, man?
Some really
Can
good
we
ones.
block him? Can we block him from commenting? I mean, can we?
We might have to. We might have to. Yes.
Oh man,
That would torture. That would torture him. Then he'd be blowing up my text.
Right. I'd be like, David, you tune in on the show, David, put the phone down. No, what a great weekend. So many great storylines. And, I always wonder going into an event, like, what are we going to get? And what stories are there to tell? And there's never enough time to tell them all, for one. But what are those top ones? And so many great stories throughout each and every category. SEGA, along with like what I've even done with Chaos, it's hard to tell all the stories because there's so many cars, there's so many categories, there's so many good people, there's so many ups and downs with those good people, and you see the emotions. You see the emotions of a Ben Christopher that is just like, gosh, I can't take it no more. I do not want to run her up to this man, and then that comes out in the light and in the situation, and not a win light in the final round. I get the sense of the jubilation of a Robert Fraizer and a Todd Wimberly. They have campaigned in classes that they've wanted to have this moment to say, I earned points toward a championship, and now they're able to do that. And both of them mentioned that in their winner circle interviews. And you've got Briley Stott, the interview I had with him, a young man that is not lacking confidence. He's like, hey, I used to do the motocross thing, and every now and then we've got mind games there, and I can handle it here. I'm like, wow, okay, cool. It is, the stories are so rich in the Southeast Gassers Association. It's way more than just running a bunch of old cars.
I agree. And, I want to say it's been great to be baptized by SEGA. I was a pleasure working with the team. Lee's done a heck of a job putting this whole thing together. Definitely got the right man leading the charge. We were able to, with Warren and everyone, the stream was just fantastic. Even with me being a rookie out there, huge thanks to Leslie and all the Southeast Gassers individuals out there. I'm walking around, and after one show, people are like, hey, and I'm like, how do you know? I'm thinking to myself, how do you know? I only did one show, but the family is great. I really, really enjoyed myself. And I've said this several times. I've probably said it to a couple racers that I was able to meet as well. I cover the NFL, and I cover the NHRA, and this was a highlight. I had been looking forward to it since it came onto the schedule, and it did not disappoint. It was a lot of hard work, but man, it was a joy to have been a part of the first race of this season for the Southeast Gassers Association. So thank you all.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you, because having someone that with the knowledge you do to work with, it's only going to help our brand. But you're right. When you said it can only, basically paraphrasing what you said, it can only be experienced.
Yes.
So if anybody's thinking about it, there were so many people on the live feed that were asking what airports were near certain tracks to fly into. They were coming from the West Coast. They were coming from the United Kingdom. We've already seen a lot of that from people overseas and coming to our events, but it can only be experienced. Our brand of racing and our brand of Southern hospitality and the stories, the people, the characters that you get to meet. I mean, my life has been enriched in the last 10 years by people who are true friends now, not just people who I call on a race.
And, speaking of calling a race, David, I think you did a fine job. And in particular, a fine job in recognizing two audiences. That is something now announcers always don't do well, and it is a challenge to recognize two audiences. You have your seating in front of you, in front of the action audience, and then a stream audience. And you taking some time to dive into the chat and interact with those folks. That is huge to do that and to bring the two audiences together. So not to make this a big pat on the back session, but Dugenay, you did a good job, especially for the first time doing like what you did with the camera work. Appreciate that. David, as always, you did a fine job, and what a great event it was. There were a lot of new roles, even though there were people that were accustomed to, Rocky, a couple of different hats. Rocky Platt did a great job. We had a great show. Rich did a great job. And you've got the team in the tower doing a great job. I'm impressed. I know it may be something that we're used to and accustomed to with SEGA, but the packet, this is great info. Packet. This is a very professionally done packet. It is very good. And it's something that I don't always get when I go to other events across the country. I mean, man, what a great resource. And the whole team did a great job, and we've got the season well underway and a good place to spring from. And were there a few hiccups? Sure. But, man, overall, from Rocky, Renee, David, Chris Barrett with Frankenstein's Garage, Dylan, great to have Dylan out. I know we're not going to have Dylan Horton for every race, but he came out and I told him, man, look, just go do your thing and get us some great reels to put out there and have fun. He hadn't really been able to have a whole lot of fun lately at SEGA races, having to try to cover everything and do the job of multiple people. And I really am looking forward to what we're going to get from him as content rolls out, and Chris Barrett as well. But great event, good way to start our season, and certainly looking forward to, for SEGA, head home in just about a week and a half. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, coming back to the Carolinas, it's going to be a lot more cars. Robbins Repairables has been a stalwart as a sponsor. They sponsor our spring and our fall race there for many, many years. Marty and Terry Robbins, they are drag racers themselves. They are generational drag racers, and they have a great business there at Robbins Repairables. And we're glad that they're our sponsors there at the shootout at Shadyside, the Shelby Nationals.
It is going to be a good time. We had a great time at South Georgia Motorsports Park, presented by Harbin's Mechanical Services for the Spring Nationals. We can't wait for Shadyside. And then we're looking at the Bama Brawl at Holiday Raceway, a new track for the Southeast Gassers Association. And it is going to be a great time as well. Hey, thanks to Stephen Smith for all the great content and great content and great images. You can get all the Gasser swag at gassergear.com. He does a spectacular job. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. And
we may try there, Leslie. We may try to make that one.
So, Scott brings this up. This was pretty cool. SGMP is asking their next event coming in if they can have backup girls since ours were such a hit. That was pretty cool on social media. They were like, "Hey, can these girls come back? They did a great job," and we're like, "Really?" You know, so I saw that. That was pretty cool. And look, I've been across the country, covered a lot of racing, seen a lot of backup girls, seen some backup girls that are beautiful ladies, but don't want to see them again, honestly. But the ladies with SEGA, very classy bunch, and they do their job exceptionally well. And it's cool to have them a part of the program and stay classy and keep it that way. It is certainly noted, and people appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
They do a great job. And Duchesne, you even mentioned that how the first 60 feet, getting the cars in the tracks, making they are the reason that happens.
Yeah, they did an exceptional job.
They did. Well, to everyone, thank you for tuning in. This has been SEGA Live, brought to you by Harbin's Mechanical Services. We're going to switch gears on out of here. The official 4-speed of Southeast Gassers Association Drag Racing is G-Force Racing Transmissions. Racing and performance, street transmissions as well. You want to shift right, it's going to be through the G-Force. I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer, for David Lancaster, the voice of SEGA, and also Mr. Duchesne Bland. We're signing off. This has been SEGA Live. Till next time, God bless. Keep the pedal to the metal. Harbin's Mechanical serves Atlanta, Georgia, and its metro area. From the big jobs downtown to the jobs in your hometown of the suburbs, they are your #1 source for your HVAC and refrigeration needs in Atlanta and its metro area. Stay cool in Hotlanta with Harbin's Mechanical Services. Summit Racing Equipment. From the store, the catalog, or online, you can get your street rod, hot rod, personal ride, and even race car, including a Southeast Gassers Association ride, ready for action. Build with Summit Racing Equipment.
Laris Motorsports Insurance offers drag racers the broadest insurance policies in the industry. Laris Motorsports Insurance was created by racers for racers. Laris insures race cars on and off the track, trailers and equipment. Laris even pays racers contingencies at the fling bracket